Hi, everyone. Welcome to Built by Endurance, where we interview endurance athletes who are crushing it in business. Today we have Frederick Red. Fred, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. You have an incredible backstory. So, how do you introduce yourself these days, given how many different worlds you're involved in?
just Fred, the crazy man.
Absolutely. You got so many stories. Tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're an opera singer. Kind of, how did you get involved in that? Did you always know you wanted to do that, or kind of
No,
explain that to
yeah,
me?
it's a crazy background. So I grew up in Houston. I went to a high school for engineering. I have a musical family. I played trombone. I used to make fun of opera singers as a kid. And then I went to undergraduate engineering school, and then that's when I joined a chorus just for fun, and that started my training started doing to be an opera singer. And then I made my professional debut in Lincoln Center, and everything just rolled out from there. And then my Ironman thing happened after I had already started singing, and that started out because I wanted to lose weight.
Hmm.
And I started, I was on the swim team in high school, so I had the swim thing down. So I was swimming, cycling, and biking at the gym. And my colleague was like, Fred, I see you swimming, biking, and running. Why don't you join this little sprint triathlon just for fun? So I borrowed somebody's Trek bike and I did a sprint triathlon and I was hooked. I was like, oh, this is great. And then over time, so 5 years later, fast forward, about maybe 15 races, I did my first Ironman, and then the second year I did this, that followed up the next year. Uh, about eight halves, Ironman, and two fulls.
That's
And
awesome. Yeah. The sprints really get you hooked because it's so fun. It's like a little jolt of adrenaline right at the beginning.
yes,
And then you're like, oh,
yes,
I want more of this.
yes. And then
That's
there's always, you figure out, well, I want to do a better time, or I want to improve my. Everyone has a strong of the three. There's always someone has the strongest. One of the three is a stronger sport. Mine was obviously swimming,
mhm.
and because I was a lifeguard, swim team guy. So um, where a lot of triathletes come in from the running aspect because they're good runners and they learn how to swim. So
It
it's,
makes more sense to know how to be a good swimmer, and then everyone can run. It's just you gotta you gotta
yeah,
work at it.
I had a lot of training. I mean, I think what really helped me was along the way when I joined a tri team,
Mhm.
and they had two professional coaches that were
Oh, cool.
pros, and that really helped my technique, especially the running and the cycling and how to carb load on your bike, and when you get sick of the gels and those those types of wonderful things. So that was crucial because I probably would not have done or finished any of the races without that professional training.
Yeah, because these aren't the kind of races you can just do a little bit of training and show up to. You have to have a game plan.
Oh yes, we had a calendar of things, goals to hit, and 7 days on,
That's
as
all.
you know,
What
twice a
races did
day.
you do?
Let's see. Uh, Timberman, Puerto Rico. That's
Okay.
where we won. Our tri club won the championship that year. The team. Cozumel,
Cozumel was the full.
the full.
Uh,
And let's see. Atlantic City, half.
okay.
Um, let's see, did I think I wrote them down because it's hard to recall.
You could just tell me the two fulls, Cozumel and
Oh, there was Cozumel and Cozumel, so
oh, you
those are
did
easy.
Cozumel twice. Cool, cool.
Yeah, so it was the second race, the second Cozumel race that I was very challenging as we were discussing before. It was the crosswinds and headwinds. Now you're pedaling at 90% capacity and you're going 12 miles an hour. And that's really discouraging.
Yeah. No, I understand. I've done some races that have some crazy weather and you can't plan for it in your training. You
Right.
just you do the best you can do, and then on race day, if the race gods aren't in your favor, everyone else is dealing with it too. It's not just you. So
Correct. So the hardest part on a race like that where it's really tough, at the transition tents, you see people, they're like lying out, they're around, they're having they're just it's so tempting to like join them and to give up. But I'm like, no, no, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep going because there are people laid out sleeping. And I was just like, wow. So that's where you have to really have the focus, like, hey, I'm here to do the race, and yeah, I could quit and not finish, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't, if I gave up. So,
yeah, yeah, it is very tempting. It's you get to the point in the race and you just don't want to move any further, but something inside you is like, I could take one more step, so I'm going to do it. And you
right.
just keep moving. Because for me, if I stop in a race, it's just, there's
Oh yeah,
almost, you're
yeah.
done. So you just have to keep moving. At least that's how I've been kind of doing it is it just, you just got to keep going. Just one more step and just keep moving. But that's awesome. Congrats on the two races. I just kind of want to touch a little bit more on the opera because it's super cool. What's it like? I mean, I was in the choir too in high school, but I didn't end up becoming a full-time opera singer. So super impressive. But I know you've performed on some pretty large stages like Carnegie Hall. What's it like being, front and center in front of all these people?
Oh, well, I'm an extrovert, so I think the first time I was probably the most nervous when I made my debut. In Carmina Burana with, you've got 120 piece orchestra and
Mhm.
big chorus behind you and you're front and center. But, over time, you just like anything else, you just focus like when you're on an Ironman race, you're not thinking about what's ahead of you, you're focusing on what you're doing. And it's the same thing when you're on the stage. You're focusing on delivering, you're connecting with the audience and delivering what you trained for. It's
Mm.
exactly like the Ironman. Isn't that interesting, right?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe for you as an extrovert, but yeah, it just seems so daunting to be in front of that many people. When you're doing an Ironman, it's pretty daunting, but it's just you against you. You're not really performing in front of so many people. So that's really impressive. My question is, do you have everything memorized, or do you kind of have like points that you go to and that clicks your what you remember, or it is just all default memory. You've practiced so much that you just know everything by heart.
You practice so much
Okay.
that you know everything by heart. And I can still remember, I can remember all of the roles that I've done. I have
Mhm.
like 20 or so roles, and I could probably, for example, in the Verdi score for La Traviata, I know that in the Schirmer score on page 82, the first line is Madame Gelevalerie. And the soprano says Sonio, and I say Dal freddo al padre me vedete. It just never goes away. So that means like if someone calls me last minute, hey, we need you to fill in on a role, you can just briefly go over the stuff that you've learned and go on stage, which I've done before as well.
Wow. So someone gave you a call last minute. We had someone drop out. Can you come in and perform? And you're like, I'll be there.
Yes. Actually, that happened during COVID. There was a production where the guy dropped out 2 days before or 3 days before the show at Carnegie main stage. And my manager called. He's like, Fred, listen to me carefully. We need you to go on stage. pull up the music, the dress rehearsals tomorrow.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, is that kind of like your main focus now? I know we'll get into all the businesses you've started and been a part of, but does that take up a lot of your time now, or is that kind of like taking a little bit of a backseat?
It's all juggling.
Hmm.
I do a little bit. So for example, tomorrow I have a rehearsal for an outreach program with the New Jersey State Opera, and because we're doing a program on Gershwin next Wednesday. So I like the fact that I can juggle because my interests are so varied. If I just do one thing, I kind of not as challenged as if I'm doing multiple things. So,
Yeah, that's also kind of when I'm training for a race. Everyone's like, "Well, how do you work on your business and train for a race and do everything else?" Well, when you have so much to do, it just kind of falls into place, and you okay, I have time. Put my training block here, work here, do X, Y, Z here. Instead, if you only have one thing, I'm the kind of person that if I don't have everything scheduled out, it takes up all my time.
right. And and there's a saying that, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. It's true. It's
Yeah,
true. It's like a law of momentum or something like that. I don't. The less you do, the less you want to do.
yeah.
I mean, there are limitations. I mean, I have learned how to say no.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's an important skill because I feel like when you're starting out, at least for me, saying yes to a lot of opportunities has opened a lot of doors. But once I kind of have found my focus, that's when I started having to say no. That's something that I'm not interested in taking on right now because now I have things that I'm working on and I have goals and trying things I'm trying to accomplish. And if that doesn't align with it, then I can't really take on something that either I don't have expertise in or not alignment with.
Right.
So yeah, saying no is a valuable skill. So I want to get a little bit into some of the businesses that you founded. Most of them have been in the consulting industry.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about it. The first group that you founded, it was Project Management Resource Group. How did that come about?
Oh, that's great. So it was, I was working as a consultant and I was monitoring and watching the dynamics of the consulting company and what I was producing, and I was like, wait a minute. I could do this. I could start my own company. So I just went for it, and I never thought I wasn't gonna succeed. I just went for it, and my first client was Siemens Transportation Systems. It's a global company. And then my next client was Lockheed Martin, and we were working on these big, large projects, and I upped my staff to about 14 employees. And then I did some developer work in New York City, and it was a lot of work, but I, no regrets. And then once the recession, there was a downside on the recession kind of activities where some of the projects were not going as robustly. The growth wasn't there, so I was able to sell it and leverage myself to create the first project management office, a PMO for the Port Authority.
Yeah, I saw a little bit about that. That's really interesting that you worked for them. How did that come about? Was that just kind
Yeah,
of the next step after exiting the company?
yeah, it was sort of kind of it sort of happened at the same time. I got recruited to do that work because they had a thirty billion dollar capital program, but no center of excellence for project management, and that's where I was living in the project management world. And then what I liked about working for an agency is like I learned a lot about politics, a lot, and 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 working on an even larger scale than I was working. So you know, all the airports, JFK, Newark, Holland Tunnel, Lincoln Tunnel, George Washington, all of these iconic places in New York that um, were all under sort of development of how we're going to manage these projects going forward. And as a result, was able to reduce project delays by 15% and increase the agency's net assets. And so it was a great time. And then I was ready to move on to my next challenge. So
That's awesome. And what was the next challenge? Was it Asai Consulting?
yeah, I started another consulting company, and this one was more strategic and with a little bit of financial and a little bit of asset management. And what happened is my transition from the Port Authority, because like I said, it's a very political organization. So there was a changing of the guards in terms of what governors are in place. And usually when that happens, the top management usually transitions to something else. So
Okay.
that's what I did. And I did that for another like 5 or 6 years. So it was great.
What kind of clients did you target on Asai? Was it similar
It was
construction?
similar. It was sort of I did some things for NIPA. I did some things for New York Power Authority, Merck. I did some work for Walter Reed Investments. I did so it was sort of a smorgasbord of strategic and kind of delivery type work, which it was just a little bit different from the other company, which I enjoyed. And then what led me to the transition to a global management company saw the work that I was doing, and they pulled me in to be a principal. And on the caveat that I had to shut down my consulting business. So
A
that was
non? Do they make you sign a non-compete?
yeah, yeah. So and
Okay.
then yeah,
And now you're the chief business development officer at, is it PACO or
Paco,
PACO?
Paco.
PACO Group. What's kind of your role been there?
Yeah, so started out as a VP of technical services, and then I went into operations, and then the the BD person that was there moved on to another position, but in the process, I would go to conferences and I'd come back with clients and work. So, like, hey, maybe we should put him in BD because I think because like I said before, I'm an extrovert. I love people and I just connect with people and yeah. So that's how that evolved. And then I still have the technical side too. So and it kind of helps because when you're talking to engineers or technical people and they'll ask you a technical question, I'm right at ease with, yeah, of course. Well, I did, no problem, you know. So
Yeah,
I do like the juxtaposition of having both.
that's cool. You've been in, yeah, a lot of different roles. So over your time here, what's kind of one of the beliefs maybe that you had about consulting or project management you were when you were first starting out that now you believe maybe isn't the case or you disagree with? Is there something that's changed over your time or
Oh, you mean about
about
managing projects?
consulting, about project management, something that's changed in the industry since you started?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's the speed of which to make decisions is paramount right now. I mean, it's always been, but even more accelerated because of AI.
Hmm.
And, I've jumped on that bandwagon and, you know, I've learned JavaScript and Python and I'm writing AI scripts for my company to convert resumes and because I like to dabble just so that I can keep up with the technology because
Yeah.
you blink your eye and you're left behind and 6 8 months you're completely the gap is going to be so wide you can't catch up. So I just think that in general being able to be agile to like grab onto or look what's coming ahead and be able to be adaptable. But at the same time, consulting is a people business.
Mm.
People don't hire they hire you if they like you. And I was at a conference where this guy said, everybody talks about your unique selling proposition. He said, well, I think it's your unique selling proposition is you, because that's who you make the connection with. I mean, you can have all those fancy words, but it's really um, that ability to connect with people. And just coincidentally, I was reading this morning about speaking on the same talk about AI, and uh, Elon Musk was interviewed. There was an article about he's not looking at any resumes anymore because of AI. They all look the same, and he's asking people to write down three problems that they've solved using technology, and that's how he's going to make his decision on on making on making his hires. Because people they could, with AI, all the resumes can look the same,
Mm.
and all the credentials can look the same. So it's sort of like, well, drilling down a little bit further. Well, what have you done lately, and how have you, you know, what impact have you made by doing these three things? So I think that's kind of brilliant, actually.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that, but that's super interesting.
Yeah, it just came out this
Yeah.
morning, so it
Yeah.
just caught my
That's
attention.
that's interesting. Yeah. I can see why, especially he probably has millions of applicants applying, and they're probably all using ChatGPT or Claude
Of
to
course.
put their resume and make it better. So it's probably like he said, it's all the same. So he needs to separate somehow, and that's probably a good way is problem solving because there's always going to be problems. AI can't solve every single problem. So
Correct.
if you can make connections with people and solve problems, there's always going to be a spot for you, and if you can
Right.
do those two things.
Because if you can have the technology, the technical skills, but no people, you're not a people person, or you don't know how to connect with people, it's not going to work out as well for you as
Mhm.
you'll, someone will always be, your career won't go as far as you want it or would like it to go.
Yeah.
So,
Do you see that AI is disrupting consulting? Because I've seen a lot of posts about entry level consultants kind of being cut because AI can replace a lot of their jobs. I'm not too involved in the consulting space, so I'd like to get your take on that.
yeah, so, one of the things that, I mean, I think inherently young people have a better pulse on the AI technologies,
Hmm.
and they if they can leverage that to get their foot in the door, that'd be great. Because I mean, I'm at a point where I'm still learning. I'm learning every day, and but to the point where if you can do your job faster, and if it's an entry level position, you have to sort of show how you can think outside the box to show your value,
Hmm.
because yeah, usually, AI increases your productivity, but the if you can prove that you can use critical thinking to can leverage that somehow to get a job straight out of college, I think that's where you have to go. Because I found in my career that a lot of people, you know, they may hide behind their letters, and a lot of critical thinking isn't happening because they're used to doing work a certain way,
Hmm.
and that's not going to push your career forward either.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you can't just be responding to emails and whatnot. You actually have to be, like you said, critically thinking or solving problems because those are the positions where you can leverage the AI itself to help you make better decisions. But I don't think AI can really make good decisions at this point. I've asked
oh
it
no,
certain questions to try to help me with decisions, and it just gives me bad feedback. So I think it's very useful, but the decision making process is not there. It's you still need to take the output from the AI and then make a decision with the data that you have. You can't just say, "Tell me what to do," because it will not give
Oh,
you a
crazy.
good
That doesn't
not
make
give you a good answer.
right. And as far as an example, we just hired an entry level person
Mhm.
from our firm to do business intelligence and data analytics. Entry level position, we had 99 applicants. We whittled that down to five, and then of the five, we had them all do presentations.
Okay.
And it was interesting because the person that we thought that was the forerunner in the presentation actually was last was the last scored in the final presentation scored the lowest, and the person that we didn't think would come through was came really shone brightly, and it was an interesting process. But so
Yeah.
yeah, we do hire um, entry level people, and their contributions they can save us. We're using the business intelligence data analytics to accelerate, you know, positioning in our marketplace and looking at that data to inform how we're going to go forward in the future, and having someone at an entry level position with those skill sets, it's great.
Yeah, and if you can get those skill sets honed in, it will really set you up, I think, for
Yep.
future opportunities as well.
Yeah, and I know that it's, the market is tough right now
Mhm.
for graduates coming out of college right now, and I think that some of the decision makers in the companies have to really kind of look at it in a different way as sort of as a value add, because they're younger minds and maybe sharper focused, and they could help them in other ways that they may not be aware of.
Yeah. Every younger generation always has a good pulse on the new tech. So
Oh yes,
I've tried to keep up to date. It moves fast though. It seems like every couple of weeks there's some new breakthrough or some new technology that comes out, and
absolutely.
so it's an interesting field, and it's affecting everything from what I do in real estate to consulting to everything. So it's moving fast. But I want to touch on a couple more really interesting points about your life. I know you lived in Italy for a little bit when you were learning opera. You kind of seem to have a bunch of different, side quests, and I love that. I love trying to do things that don't normally seem like it would be beneficial for you in the time, but it will help improve you as a person. So, how did you kind of decide? How do you decide what kind of things to focus on? Like we talked about earlier, is like saying no to things. How do you say no to certain things and then say yes to other things that maybe don't seem like they would be for you, but they end up changing you as a person for the better?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think there's not much thought given to if an opportunity presents itself. So what happened with my Italy trip to Italy, it was I was going to be in do one program of study and performance, and then I decided to do two programs while I was there, and then extend my stay with my girlfriend. I took a leave of absence from an engineering job that I had just started, and I kept extending the trip, extending the trip. And to my surprise, when I came back, I still had a job because I was gone for almost it was like 8 or 9 months, almost a year. So
Wow.
I was just, and I look back on it, and I'm just glad I did it. It was
Mhm.
risky, and I just went for it.
Did that
And
affect your career in the opera at all? Or was it just
oh,
kind of?
it improved my career. It improved
Yeah,
my
that's what I mean.
Italian. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Um, because one of the things that I can carry a conversation in New York City in Italian restaurants if they speak Italian. So that's a great thing to do when you're dating and you start speaking Italian to the waiters. And I'm a little bit rusty now because
Mhm.
when just as I was starting to dream in the language, I left.
Mhm.
Um, I left, but one of the things that, in the because your diction has to be perfect when you're singing opera.
Mm,
So I trained on the diction for years, but then getting that s- flavor of the dialect. For example, you know, I was in Siena, and that's where the language is the purest. So, someone would come to me and say, "I visto Mauro," and I'm like, "Why is he talking to me like that?" But that's how pure the language is. And then as you get further south in Italy, it becomes buonanotte becomes buonanotte. So just like
yeah,
here in the U.S., we have the California versus Southern versus the New York accent. So it's
yeah,
interesting. Languages are very interesting.
yeah. That's cool. Well, I'm glad you got to experience that. And it sounds like you've had an incredible ride. What's next?
Uh, that's a good question. I don't know what's next. I'm open to um, I may be getting that entrepreneurial itch again. I have no idea.
Uh-huh.
I am doing more. I'm on more opera boards,
Cool.
and I am giving back with doing master classes and things of that nature. But yeah, it's a good question. I don't know what's next, but I may have another few more races left in me. I did have an injury, a response to surgery that took me out for, it took me 2.5, almost 3 years to recover from.
Oh, wow.
See, I had atrophy in my left leg, and I was walking with a cane. And after 2.5 years of physical therapy, I'm back running again. So
Wow. That's
I'm
impressive because
excited. I'm excited. It was not easy, but
I bet.
again, you can never predict what's going to happen next in your life. So,
Yeah,
and
that kind of seems like the story of your life is you really didn't know what was going to come next and you just kind of rode the wave.
yeah, I just rode the wave. Even with going to physical therapy, it started out 3 times a week, then 2 times a week, and I was just enjoying the process because they, in my intakes, like, oh well, you're an Ironman, so you're used to sticking sticking to things and
Hmm.
making progress. And I was just having fun doing my physical therapy and cracking jokes and making everyone laugh. So
That's good because I feel like a lot of people in your position would probably be really pessimistic and you're just having a great time at PT.
yeah, it was, yeah, and they were sad to see me leave, but I
I'm sure you weren't.
had to go.
All healed. Well, if you ever do another race, definitely let me know. I'd love to follow along because I just did Boston Marathon
Oh
on
yes, how
Monday
was
actually.
that?
It was a great race. It was my first time doing Boston. I was also dealing with injury, not as bad as yours, so I didn't get the time that I wanted, but it was still a great race. I had a lot of fun, and I was so many spectators. I've never done a race with that many spectators. It was insane.
And was the weather warmer that last
No, it was
weekend?
cool. It was perfect weather. Yeah, it was a good race. But now I'm like, well, I don't have any races on the calendar, so I'm kind of like, do I do another marathon? Do I sign up for an Ironman? I'm not sure.
Ironman, Ironman, Ironman.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I would, I think that the year that I did my first Ironman, I think I did 3 halves and a full.
Wow,
That's
that's a
that's
lot of races
that's
in one
that's
year.
crazy. That's a little crazy. Um, but I did that because I was so nervous about doing my first Ironman. I just wanted to make sure.
Make sure you can do
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Um, and how many other marathons have you done?
I've done 2 marathons and 5 full Ironmans, and
Wow,
then I want to say 6 or 7 half Ironmans.
great,
Yeah.
great.
So I'm not sure what's next.
Is is Kona one of, I mean, is that a dream of yours to get there?
I actually did Kona in 2022.
Wow,
Yeah.
great.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was an
Wow.
insane race.
I bow to you. That's
Thank
great.
you.
What an experience.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was so hard though. Like it's Kona for a reason. It was I think 98 degrees, like 100% humidity. It was the hardest race I've ever done by a country mile. I had a great swim and a great bike, and I got
Mhm.
off the bike and I started running, and the heat just hit me like a ton of
Oh,
bricks. And I was about six
wow.
to 8 miles in, and I was dehydrated, even though I was trying to have all my fluids on the bike. I was sweating so much, and I didn't even realize it. And yeah, and the marathon fell away from me. I still finished strong, which was good, but
Great.
it was a it was a really tough race. I definitely want to do it again just now that I know what it takes because I trained hard, but I needed to train way harder than I did because it's brutal. It's hot, like I said, humid, windy, and it's unexpected.
And I happened to be one year I flew into Hilo and I had to take my flight out of Kona. And so I was on the road where the bike path, I was like, and it looks so desolate.
Oh yeah, it's just
Oh
lava
my
fields.
God.
There's no shade, and the sun is
Nothing.
beating off the lava.
And for me to, I mean, I wasn't running in it, but I was driving and I was looking, absorbing. I was like, wow, that's, well, hats off to you.
Thanks, I
That's
appreciate it. I did not
amazing.
expect to qualify. I qualified in Oklahoma and Tulsa, and the race had been delayed a couple times because of COVID. So I ended up
Okay.
training for this race for like 2 to 2.5 years because like I was originally supposed to do the race and then it got canceled. So I stopped training and then it got put on again. And so I started training again. And this happened like 2 or 3 times where it got postponed. And so finally I did the race. And I guess the training had really prepared me because I PR'd by a significant margin and ended up qualifying. And that was totally unexpected. But I guess the training
That's
paid off.
awesome. That's awesome. Did your family join you, friends out at,
Yeah, my family came out. It was awesome to have them out there. And
that's a once in a lifetime thing, but it sounds like you're gonna repeat that, so that's great.
yeah, it was definitely a dream. It was awesome. It was a great race. And then my sisters ended up qualifying for Kona 2 years later.
No way.
Yeah,
That's so both.
both of them. They saw that I qualified and like, oh, Nick did it. We can do it easily. We have to beat him.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So so
Ironman family.
Iron Family. Yeah,
So
my
you're
parents have also both done Ironmans. So
what's that?
my parents have also both done Ironmans. So
Wow, I was gonna ask. Wow, so it's in your genes.
yeah, you could say that. It's cool to do a race with the family. It's a lot of fun.
Wow, that's so you started early, like 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, I did the little kids tries, like the 100-yard swim, the 2 mile
No.
bike, and the quarter-mile run when I was really young, and that kind of set me on the path of really wanting to do a full when I was able to do one.
Wow, that's just amazing. Well, hats off to your family. I'm really impressed.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, well, it's such a great community. I just loved Ironman, and it's great having you on, Fred. I really appreciate you coming on. So, if people want to find out more about you, where can they go out? They go to find more.
Oh, well, they can go to fredred.com
He's got his own
or
website,
or you can hit my Wikipedia page
and he's got a Wikipedia. Look at
or
that.
you could go to YouTube and um, pick up some recordings. So,
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Fred. Everybody, take care. I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you on the next episode of Built by Endurance. And as always, if you want to listen to more interviews with endurance athletes crushing it in business, make sure to subscribe.